Are you ready to take your love for Spurs to the next level? Because we've got some exciting news for you. We're amping up our membership program so you can get even more of your Spurs fix. Plus, we're giving you ample opportunities to show off your Tottenham knowledge and win some epic prizes along the way.
As a Platinum member, you'll get access to exclusive shows, Q&A sessions, as well as FIFA content. You'll also have weekly chances to win We Are Tottenham TV merch in our weekly giveaways exclusively for you, our members.
But wait, there's more! We're introducing members-only giveaways during our watch-alongs, so not only can you watch the game with us, but you can also interact and win some incredible gifts along the way, talk about a win-win situation.
And if you're a die-hard Tottenham Hotspur fan, we've got something special just for you. Our frequent Spurs quizzes will test your knowledge and reward the most passionate fan with some amazing prizes. And if that's not enough, you can even be part of our weekly fan shows and have your say on everything happening at Tottenham Hotspur. It's like being in the locker room with the team. Well, not quite that, but you get the idea.
All of this epic content and exclusive benefits can be yours for just £12.99 per month. That's less than the price of a burger and a pint at the Tottenham Stadium. So don't wait, join our We Are Tottenham community today and take your love for Spurs to the next level. Trust us, you won't regret it. Come on, you Spurs.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another stream for you guys, another breaking news stream as Ange Postecoglou is edging closer to being the Spurs' new manager. How are we feeling, Sim?
Well, I think the wait could finally be over. We're not going to be breaking any records, it seems, this time round, which I'm
Have we not
quite
broken
happy.
it already?
We're not going to re-break the record. re-break the record, I mean. Have we not
No, but
broken
I'm
it?
saying, isn't it surpassed that time?
No, I don't think it has yet.
Because, when only a week ago, they were saying 1 more week to go or 5 days to go. They were saying 6 days to go. So, I mean, it's definitely very close to it, if not just overtook it.
It could be touch and go, potentially. Maybe we still might be breaking the records. But look, for me, we'll get into the news about Postecoglu, but I am excited. I am excited about having someone new, a fresh kind of tactical approach to our play. I'm excited just to see some attacking football again at White Hart Lane, which we just haven't seen in a while. So that part of me is excited. Whether I truly believe Postecoglu is a guy who we can really build a 5-year plan around, and he's going to be the one to take us forward to heights back to where we were under Pochettino, really challenging for league titles and things like that, I don't know. I don't know. I've got my reservations, but I definitely think he can definitely improve us. I definitely think he can get us back to having a team we can be proud of again. And I'm excited to see what he can do with our attacking talent.
So is he going to make us proud?
No, I don't.
Is he going to make us proud?
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. You're right.
But look, people in the comments are confirming that today is day 71. Tomorrow will be day 72.
Okay, so
if we have to announce him today.
Yeah, that's why we announced it today. They're scrambling around. We can't re-break the record. Can't do it again.
Unbelievable. But look, let's get into the headlines. Dan Kilpatrick says Tottenham are expected to complete the appointment of Ange Postecoglou this week. Tottenham want Postecoglou to start work imminently ahead of a big summer in the transfer market, and one of his first priorities is likely to be the discussions with Harry Kane. Romano says Tottenham have reached a verbal agreement with Ange Postecoglou to become their next manager. It will be a 2-year deal. All right, sorry about that, guys. But we are back now, hopefully without interruption. And as I was rudely interrupted, let's get into the headlines regarding Ange Postecoglou today. Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham are expected to complete the appointment of Ange Postecoglou this week. And Tottenham want Postecoglou to start work imminently ahead of a big summer in the transfer market. And one of his first priorities will be those discussions with Harry Kane. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham have reached a verbal agreement with Ange Postecoglou to become their next manager. It will be a 2-year deal with an option of a 3rd year, so potentially being valid until June 2026. All that remains is to strike a deal with Celtic. He also said in an Instagram comment that the Here We Go will be very soon. The Mail reporting that Postecoglou has informed Celtic that he wishes to leave the club to take over as Tottenham manager and take Gavin Strachan and John Kennedy with him, which is also an interesting point because he's never actually taken backroom staff at any of the clubs that he's been appointed to, but obviously he has taken a shine to those two at Celtic. Gary Jacobs says an announcement for Postecoglou to Tottenham is expected soon. And finally, Sammy Mockwell says that Tottenham are on the verge of making Ange Postecoglou their head coach, with hope that confirmation will arrive inside the next 48 hours. And look, whatever you got to say about Ange Postecoglou and how underwhelming this appointment is with the caliber of names that were first linked to us, with the likes of Julian Nagelsmann, Angie Slot, all those kind of names, I think it is an appointment which we should be getting excited for. I don't think it's an appointment where we shouldn't be going through with our eyes shut, because they should be wide open. But he is an impressive manager from what he has done in the past, albeit it hasn't been in any of the top leagues. But he's taken teams in those leagues which haven't been like the historic teams that win trophies year on, year out. And he's taken teams in the Aussie League that haven't won trophies for a long time, in the Japan League that haven't won trophies in a long time. And he's gone there and dominated those leagues, which is impressive in itself. And on top of that, Celtic, people forget, everyone goes, oh yeah, Celtic always win that league, which they do. But he took over a Celtic team that hadn't won the league in the previous year, and Rangers absolutely smashed out that league, unbeaten the whole season. So he actually had a big kind of half rebuild job to do at Celtic, which is also impressive in itself.
Yeah, and look, fair enough. You can only do the job that's in front of you, and I think he's done a very impressive job wherever he's been. You've got to give credit where credit's due. I know he's won a treble with Celtic. He has taken teams from the J League from the bottom, apparently teams from relegation battles, right until winning the league as well in those divisions. So you can't. There's not to be sniffed at the jobs he's done there, but. The problem, not the problem, but the thing with me at the moment is just that the competition right now in the Premier League is so fierce. Coming into a new division without that, with that lack of experience at that high level, how is he going to respond to that? The new kind of pressures he has now in the Premier League to get results and get to high level. He's not going to be faced the competition he's going to be facing now in the Premier League. That's just a fact. It's a new level of competition, and coming into that at the age he's at is going to be a difficult challenge for him. Look, not to say that he's not up to it just because he's 57 years of age, but coming into a new environment, a new league, the toughest challenge he's ever faced at 57 years of age. It's just going to be very interesting to see how he responds to that. Can you think about a manager as old as him who's come into the Premier League for the first time, or not just the Premier League, who's come into a top 5 European league for the first time at that kind of age and be the success? There might have been a few, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I can't think of any.
It must be something very rare.
Yeah,
for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Looking at his character, looking at how he speaks. That he does nothing but get me excited for what he can bring to Tottenham, 100%. He seems like a guy he's extremely likeable. He can get the fans on side immediately. He can get the players on side very, very quickly. And these are all things that we need. But I'm just talking about pure quality when it comes to being up there tactically with the managers of the Premier League. Is he up there with them? Well, I don't know.
From what I've read and from what I've seen of his Celtic teams and what is the kind of general vibe about fans that have been supporting Ange Postecoglou teams is that his tactical nous is completely up there, and it should be highly regarded and highly respected. And yeah, I know he's coming up against greats in the game like Pep Guardiola's and Jurgen Klopp and stuff like that. But his first point of call isn't to challenge those managers. His first point of call is to get us back in the top 6, get us playing European football again, which I think is well within his tools. But I think it's a wait and see game with Ange Postecoglou, because we don't know how he's going to react to managing such high class players as the Harry Kanes, the Heung-min Sons, and people like that. So look, it is a risk, but I think any manager coming into this would have been a risk. And same with someone like Arne Slot, right? Arne Slot's only managed in Holland as well. That also would have been a risk.
Yeah, but at least we've seen him in European football. We've seen him get to a final of a Conference League. We saw him get to the quarters of a Europa League with a final with a Dutch team, which is quite rare in this day and age. I know Ajax did well under Ten Hag, but to do it at final was another kettle of fish. So at least he has that experience behind him. And also, I feel the Dutch League is probably a higher level than the Scottish and the J League as well. So even on that side, you can still hold on to more things than Postecoglou's. With Postecoglou's experience, obviously he's a very experienced manager. He's been international level as well with Australia. So
he's done a really good job there, by the way.
And he did a good job with
Won
Australia.
the Asian Cup, beating South Korea in the final, which is nothing to be sniffed at. And he also took them to the World Cup. I know, it's Australia, so you can't expect to do great at the World Cup, but I think that he did capture the hearts of the nation at that World Cup.
Wasn't that the one? I think he was the one when Tim Cahill scored that wonder goal in 2014. I believe he was manager then. Yeah, it was that one, yeah. And I believe they did quite well in terms of the way they played. I don't think they got very far. So I guess there's that to cling on to when it comes to being hopeful that Postecoglou we can build a project around him. I'm just a bit concerned that coming to the Premier League at his age without having been at a top European league. Why hasn't he been at a top European league for so long? He is 57. he's not far off 60. Those are ages when managers usually coming to the end of their careers a lot of the time. Let alone near the beginning. So, I mean, I do wonder why he hasn't come to the Premier League, but maybe he just hasn't. Maybe there's been a stigma. Maybe I'm not being fair to him. Maybe there's a stigma about Australian managers. Maybe that's the reason people haven't taken a punt. As he said himself, when he first went to Celtic, he was seen as a joke, and people didn't give him a chance purely just because he's Australian. And maybe the whole Socceroos kind of thing, and people kind of make fun of Australian soccer or football. Maybe that's part of the reason why he hasn't gotten his opportunity. Maybe he deserves it.
The fact of the matter is that there's never been an Australian manager in the top 5 leagues at all, ever been before. So I think that sometimes kind of people can go under the radar if they are kind of managing in unloan leagues. And it's not only that, he's bought players from the J League that nobody has ever heard of as well. And he's got them absolutely firing goals. Look at the Kyogo Farashi at Celtic, right? He scored 27 goals or something in 33, 34 games this year for Celtic. He didn't even get into the Japan squad for the World Cup. And, nobody knew of him. Nobody had heard of him. And he's come in and completely smashed it out. I believe in Ange Postecoglou, to be honest. I really do. I'm not worried about his age. I'm worried about him being able to handle the egos at Tottenham and also the defensive side of his game. I'm worried about those two things. I'm not too worried about his age, to be honest.
I'm not worried about his age per se. I'm worried about his age coupled with the lack of experience in the top 5 major league. That's what I'm a bit concerned about, because for this to be his first experience, and he's got a big job ahead of him, a big rebuild job, a lot to work out. At this club, it's not going to be an easy job to take over, and as much as we don't want expectations, at the end of the day there probably will be some expectations from the board. We all know with this board that look, the thing is, we could have a good season next season and still finish 7th because of the fierce competition in the Premier League. Are the board going to be willing to be patient with that? And then the next season, again, we could have a good season, then finish 5th. Are the board going to be patient for 2 seasons outside of a Champions League run? So
they have to be. They don't have an option, in my opinion.
Especially with the fact that we know that Postecoglou wasn't our first choice as well. We know we were going for other managers beforehand. So we're in a situation similar. I guess it's different, but similar in a way to when we had Nuno. The fact that he wasn't our first choice, and when things started to go wrong, we didn't have that belief he could turn it around because we didn't really have belief he should have been our manager in the first place. Is it going to be a similar story with Postecoglou if it starts to go wrong early? I've heard from other people that in other clubs he's had like slow starts and then he finds his way. I'm just hoping that this board are patient enough with him and are able to look. Are they gonna have the patience to stick with it through thick and thin? Or if we miss out on European football, are they going to just are they going to say he isn't the one and just move on from him? That's what I'm worried about with this board, because they don't have patience.
They have to. They've got no option this time but to have patience. We have to give this at least till the end of his contract. And that's the additional year of his contract as well. Because I'm under no illusion for next season that it's going to be a difficult year. It's going to be very much an adjustment year. We need to get a lot of players out, a lot of players in. We're getting used to a completely new method of playing football. So I'm under no illusion that we have to have patience with this guy and have patience with the work that we do in the summer. And the club have to see it that way as well, because if they don't, then we're just going to be on a hounding for nothing and he's going to be out the job in 6 months' time. They have to have the patience. They have put us in this situation after having such a good thing with Pochettino, for going to quick fixes, sacking managers over and over again. 3 managers now, permanent managers that have come in. None of them have been given the required time and the required tools to do their job. So we have to have patience. We have to give this manager the required tools if he's going to have any chance of succeeding.
Yeah. How do we think he'll be like with the board in terms of like being ruthless and things like that? Like, do you think how do you think he'll be very demanding of Daniel Levy in terms of what he wants? Or do we think that he's going to try his best to like work within the means of the club and work with what he's got?
I think he will. I think behind the scenes he might try and be a bit demanding, but I think all in all, I think he will be happy to work with kind of what he's given and what he's got, because I think that's what he's done his whole career, to be fair.
That's what I'm feeling as well. And I just hope that obviously I think it's important to work within the means in terms of like, look, this is our budget. Let's just try and get the best player we can for how much we have to spend. I think he'll be good at doing that. But what I hope he doesn't do is has a look at the squad and decide like, oh, I'm going to give Dyer another year just to see if I can get more out of him, or I'll give Sanchez a bit another year to see if I can get more out of him. I wonder if he will do that, or if he's going to be ruthless and in that sense and decide like, look, I've seen enough of how you've played over the past few years. I don't think you can fit in my system. It's going to be interesting to see what he'll do with that in that kind of aspect.
Yeah, my personal opinion with that is I think that, look, he's a man that clearly does his homework. He's a man that works very hard. Right now, I reckon what he'll be doing now is looking over a lot of old videos, a lot of old footage over the past 2-3 years under Mourinho, under Conte, under Nuno, even under Poch, to see the players that are still here and trying to kind of make up his mind, because he needs to make up his mind before the players come back for pre-season. That's because we need to start transfers now. We need to start building this squad now. So I think the homework is already underway, if not already been started from a couple of weeks back. So I think he will be kind of ruthless with some of these players that have outstayed their welcome. And I think that'll be a welcome surprise to us, to the players that he does ship out. And I hope he does ship out quite a few of them fairly soon, to be honest. But it's going to be interesting what kind of players we do bring in under him, because he's got a lot of knowledge of like the J League and the Australian League, and it'll be interesting to see if we have
untapped markets.
Yeah, we found some unearthed gems in those leagues, because he found some unearthed gems in those leagues for Celtic, and they reap the benefits from it. But obviously, it's very different. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very different coming in from Scotland than it is to England. But I want to say that a lot of Spurs fans doing the rounds on social media, like completely trying to just swap this aside, saying, oh, he's a terrible manager, he's clueless, he's never going to be fit to manage this team, he's never going to be good enough to what we want to do. And yeah, that might be true. But what the fact of the matter is that we need to give this guy time, and we need to give this guy patience, and most importantly, we need to give this guy our utmost support, and he needs to feel loved from the fans. And these whole narrative around no to Ange, no to Postecoglou, I think it's just ridiculous at this stage.
Disgraceful, really, before managers even had a chance to manage. I mean, it's wrong to rule him out completely and just say this guy will never be good enough before he's had a chance to prove himself. But to be fair, I think Postecoglou might thrive under that. We've seen at his previous jobs, you know, as I said before, like he said before he joined Celtic, he was seen as a joke. Clearly, he's been looking at those things. He reads like comments and stuff like that, or it gets mentioned to him. So he's clearly aware of that kind of stuff. We already saw Barry Ferguson, I think it was.
Yeah.
Talk about how it winds him up that he's seeing all this stuff on social media about Postecoglou. So clearly he's going to be aware of this before he comes into the club. And look, the fact he's still willing to join maybe proves to me that he's willing to take that challenge on, and maybe he'll thrive on trying to prove people wrong.
Yeah, I think he will, to be honest. And when I hear him speak, when I see the mentality of the man, I think it just fits really well with, we know the way Enoch and Levy like to work, you know, and I think that will suit their model pretty well. And I feel like he's going to have that kind of like daddy vibe that Martin Jol had when he was here, you know, very lovable, friendly man, but, you know, knows how to get down to business and knows how to be authoritarian as well, if he wants to be. So I think he's going to be a good appointment. I'm actually quite hopeful on this one, and I do see it as a very similar appointment to a Martin Jol appointment, a kind of unknown manager that's going to come in and get the players on side, the fans on side, and just get a better feeling around the place. He just seems like that kind of guy. And, you know, it also a few similarities to, I know it's not the same, exactly the same, but Arsene Wenger, when he came into Arsenal, you know, he'd managed in the Japanese league, he'd managed in France and Monaco, which isn't the league maybe, you know, it is today, but it's still a better league than Scotland is now, that's for sure. There's no two ways about that. But when Arsene Wenger came into Arsenal, everyone was like, who is this guy? You know? And it's the same with Sam Postecoglou, you know? Just because you don't know who a manager is doesn't mean that he's a bad manager. So we have to give this guy a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I completely agree with it. I think that if Tottenham have done their due diligence, and by all accounts, everyone seems to love him wherever he's been. And by all accounts, he does play the football that we need, that we want as fans. So these are all positives, and that part of it does definitely excite me about what he could bring. I just, in terms of like building a long-term project around him, right, which is what is being sold to us by the board. Essentially, we're going to pick a manager to have a long-term rebuild, long-term project.
Well, they say that, but then they only give him a 2-year contract.
Right, but I'm just saying that's what. Yeah, exactly. That's what's being sold. That's what's trying to be sold to us anyway from this board. That's the direction that they want to go in. Is he the guy we want to trust in terms of? Do we believe that in 2 or 3 years' time we could really be challenging for big things under Postecoglou? Is he the guy that we believe has the talent to make us challenge in the future with the guys at the very top of the Premier League? I don't know. I question that. I think in the short term, though, can he get us back challenging for top 6? Can he get us playing better football? Can he get fans enjoying their football a lot more? I do believe all those things. I do think he can do that. And if that's the remit, then I think it's a fair appointment.
I think that is the remit. I don't think the remit right now is to go and challenge Man City for the title. I think that's just completely unrealistic.
No, but isn't the not saying next season, but in 2 or 3 years' time, isn't that supposed to be the plan, to try and challenge?
Yeah, maybe even longer than 2 or 3 years' time. We need such an overhaul of the squad. There's so much work to be done in every facet of this football club. I think first and foremost, you need to get fans on side, you need to get players on side, and you need to see a good brand of football and get the fans enjoying going to see Tottenham again and grow from there. And I think for the next 2 years, I think that's our sole aim, is to do that, exactly that.
If I'm predicting how I think this kind of appointment will go, how I see it in my mind is I think he'll get us back into like challenging for top 6. And I have a feeling he'll probably hit a ceiling when it comes to like challenging for top 4 and whether he'll get in it or not. And I think that will kind of be his ceiling. That's the feeling I kind of get with this kind of appointment. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can achieve better than that. And if that is the case, like, I don't know. It depends what we're looking for. Because at the end of the day, the board... I can tell you what the board's remit's going to be. It's so obvious. This season, get back in the top 6. Next season, get top 4. That's what they're going to be looking to do. And is that going to be realistic? I will have to wait and see. And whether, I guess it depends again what we're doing in cups and whatever as to how happy the board are with with not getting Champions League for like 2 years. But whether will the board be patient enough with someone with his lack of experience is a big question mark.
Yeah, again, I think you're absolutely right. It is a big question mark, but the board have to know what they're getting into now, and that is exactly what they're getting into, a patience game. And I think we've needed this for so long now. We're like, we should be 5 years ahead of schedule to where we are right now. Yeah. That's the facts of the matter, right? But we're not. The board have put us in this situation, so they've got no choice now, in my opinion, but to be patient.
But on the flip side, if it does go well, like if he does like maybe exceed expectations, I could see him being here for a very long time. Because I don't think he would be itching to. I feel he seems like a very loyal. I know he's going to move from Celtic to Spurs, but he does seem to be like a very loyal kind of person, a person who likes to create a family feel. And he probably sees himself as a manager who could be at a club for 5 or 6 years if things are going well. It doesn't seem to be like a character who's going to be always itching for another big move if he's got a big club like Tottenham and things are going well. So, look, I am excited. I'm more excited about what it means for our players than necessarily him as a manager per se, in terms of like how good I think he is. I'm more excited about what his style of play could mean for our players and how much better it could make them and how they'll look under his system.
But also, what you're saying about his ceiling, maybe just about fighting for the top 4, that's also fine, to be honest. That is also fine, because if you go for 3 years and he ultimately gets us challenging for the top 4 again, that's his job done. And then, he can go, and another manager that can take us more forward can come in. And it will be a more of an attractive proposition to another manager to come in. Because right now, we're not an attractive proposition to any manager. That, like, no manager wants to come here.
That's fair enough. That is fair enough. And you could say, look, he could get us back to just at least challenging again. And that's a fair enough position. Then maybe he can move on and we can get someone who's at maybe a higher caliber or something. Or maybe he'll be good enough to kick us on from that point of view, and that's fair enough. I'm just saying that's where I see
And that could be right, but again, like I said, I think that's completely fine, and it'll take us forward as a football club, and that's all we need right now is just to be taken forward, because we're just regressing and regressing and regressing and regressing, and we just need someone just to lift the spirits of this football club, and he seems like a good fit that can do that.
Yeah.
So
that bit excites me.
Yeah. So that's the situation on Ange Postecoglou. It looks like his announcement is imminent in the next 48 hours. We've got someone online to speak to you guys. His name isn't Ashmatic.
No, it's Harry.
His name is Harry.
He's an Australian Chelsea fan from the Two Footed Tackle podcast.
Okay, well, let's get him on to see what he has to say. Harry, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, is he on mute? Is that our side? 1 minute.
Oh,
Sorry, Harry, I think we can hear you now.
I can hear you, mate.
Okay. Hello, how are we all?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
It's good, I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
No, thank you for coming on, my friend. Are you a bit gutted that Ange Postecoglou's not signing for Chelsea then?
Well, look, it was a topic of conversation considering Chelsea's woes this season, but no, I think it's a bit disappointing. I'm gonna have to maybe not change allegiances, definitely not, but I've gotta have a soft spot for Ange always. But it's a fantastic get for Tottenham if the deal gets over the line, which we think it will.
Yeah, I was watching your video before on Ange Postecoglou, and you seem to be like a bit gutted, a bit happy for Ange, but gutted that you believe Tottenham are getting a very good manager. So, what kind of manager do you think Spurs are getting with Postecoglou?
I think you're getting like the epitome of like a modern day manager. I think he strikes the balance between being a very good tactician and a good kind of on-field manager, as well as being able to handle personalities and be a very good man manager. We've seen there's been clips flying around on Twitter about his ability to motivate and his ability to kind of, I wouldn't say like handle egos, because I think that's probably something that we'll be able to that we haven't seen yet, considering the clubs that he's managed haven't been in that kind of elite of world football. But you're getting a really good, well-rounded modern day manager who I think has the ability to, well, not only does he have the ability to, but he's shown the ability to overcome adversity time and time again in his managerial career so far. So yeah, it's going to be exciting times for Tottenham should he be given the backing of the board, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of worries in the Spurs fan base because he's never managed in a top league. He's managed Australia, the national team, Japan, and now Celtic in Scotland. But he's never had a top 5 league. Do you think the Premier League, I mean, he'll hit the ground running in the Premier League, or will it take a time to adapt?
Well, throughout his managerial career, he's had slow starts towards in his jobs. He lost his first game as Celtic boss. His start in Japan wasn't overly great as well. Even his start as a Socceroos boss for the Australian national team wasn't all that good as well. But I think that's just him kind of setting his feet. I think he's a manager that does need a lot of time because he's very, I wouldn't say complicated, but his ideology is very complex, and they require a lot of muscle memory in terms of his tactics, and it also requires time for him to build relationships with a lot of players. If you speak to, I think there's interviews with some players who played in that Socceroos squad when he was managing in that 2014 World Cup and even in the 2015 Asian Cup triumph, where they speak about Ange as a person who you slowly warm to over time, and he becomes this kind of father figure that you can look up to, you can have a joke with, but also is that manager. He's the boss. He knows what he's doing, and you kind of listen to him. So yeah, I think I hope that the Spurs fans and also the board give him time, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's, I wouldn't say a rough start, but if it takes a couple of games, maybe a month for him to fully get invested into the team and really hit the ground running, maybe a month, 2 months into the season. But I wouldn't be surprised if the first month isn't overly great, but it will smooth itself out, no doubt.
Yeah, one thing Spurs fans are all like kind of looking forward to with this appointment is kind of he's been known to play like good, attractive, possession-based, attacking football, high-pressing stuff. But it's interesting that when he was manager of Australia, I'm assuming that he maybe couldn't always have played that kind of style of football because, Australia, no disrespect, they're not like the best footballing team when it gets to World Cups and things like that. If they go high pressing attacking football against some of the best teams, they'll get ripped apart. So I was just wondering, like, when he was Australia manager, was he quite adaptable? Was he able to play a bit more defensive and be successful in that way? Or does it not matter who he plays? Does he just play his way and see and whatever happens kind of thing?
Well, funnily enough, that was actually something that a lot of people were critical in Australia. They were critical of him, is that he just continued to play this aggressive, possession-based, high-tempo football, even if it wasn't working at times. He went through the qualification campaign for the 2018 World Cup, and we had to go through qualifiers because to get there against Syria in the Asian qualifiers, and Australia did get caught out at times in possession, in like the middle third at times throughout that game and throughout that campaign. But he's always been a manager that has stuck to his guns. He knows his philosophy, and he keeps to that philosophy. I think there's this clip floating around Twitter. I'm sure most people have seen it, where he speaks about he's speaking to his dad about the 2015 Asian Cup victory, and his dad says if he stopped passing it out the back and started being a little bit more defensive, we wouldn't have had to go to extra time. But he just kept doing it because that's the only way he knows, and he loves to play attacking advanced football. But I'm sure with the I wouldn't say the expectation of the Spurs job, but moving into this higher position in world football, I'm sure he will have to adapt at some stages, and he's like throughout his whole managerial career, I should say. He's shown a good ability to adapt to the circumstances that arise. So while I think the main priority for him will be to play advanced attacking football, I think he can turn to a slightly more composed and controlled style of football if needed at times.
Yeah, because that is one of my kind of concerns about Postecoglou, is about how naive he is defensively, and Spurs have conceded a hell of a lot of goals this season or last season. So do you think that he can do his kind of like attack is the best form of defense, is the way he's going to go about things, and maybe in certain games, maybe against the likes of Man City or the likes of really strong attacking teams, that we could get pummeled a few times next season?
I think it comes with the territory. I do agree with what you said about if attack is the best form of defense. I definitely think that Ange subscribes to that mindset for sure. But I also think, yeah, like I said, it comes with the territory. In order to create like a dynasty, in order to create a team that wins trophies year on year on year, you have to go through a little bit of a rough patch to cement your game style. And when we saw with Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, I'm not comparing Postecoglou to Jurgen Klopp just yet, but just we saw at the start of his campaign at Liverpool, or his tenure at Liverpool, it wasn't really the best of starts. There were some games where Liverpool got caught out and they conceded a hell of a lot of goals, but they also were able to score quite a few as well. So I think it does come with the territory. I think the main thing is time. I think obviously Spurs, the current squad isn't where it should be in terms of when you're comparing it to likes of Man City, even Liverpool. So assuming that there's a total revamp of the squad, which I think everyone expects, I think it would come kind of it's going to be there and thereabouts. I think you will see games where Spurs are caught out defensively at times, and then you're going to see games where defensively they're on song, and even attackingly they're unbelievable as well. So I think it will just be about time and how much patience everyone gives him in order to really set his philosophy into the team.
Yeah, do you believe, like, in terms of how highly you rate Postecoglou, like, do you believe, given time at Tottenham in this job, like, he could really go toe-to-toe with some of the big managers in the Premier League? Do you rate him that highly? Or do you think there is maybe a ceiling for him in the Premier League for maybe like a top 4 finish or something?
I rate him. I rate him highly. I think he's a very, very, very good manager. We obviously haven't seen it against the world's best, but what we've seen, like at every single stage in his managerial journey, we've seen it's constantly been reminded to us that he's a world-class manager, in my opinion. And what a lot of people compare him to Steven Gerrard, obviously because Gerrard is pretty much a very similar situation, dominated in Scotland and then moved to the Premier League and didn't really do that well under with Aston Villa. But I think Gerrard got shunted into that Rangers job, and really without any previous managerial experience. Postecoglou has done the rounds. He's been in Australia for half a decade, has been the Australian League's best ever manager, arguably. Went to Japan, won the league with a team that hadn't won a league in 15 years and did it without even being able to speak the language. And then he moved to Celtic, and we saw just how quickly he was able to adapt and take that Celtic team back to where they belong in that league. So I do rate him highly. He's got the credits in the bank, and it's all about. I think it's all about a little bit of luck will have to fall his way, of course, and and some transfers will have to fall his way. His players will have to hit form at times throughout the season. But I think the current makeup of the Spurs team, especially in the attacking third, I think suits his philosophy quite well. So hopefully it's a match made in heaven.
One of his first point of calls as Spurs manager will be to try and get Harry Kane on side and get Harry Kane to sign that new contract. What do you think Harry Kane's mentality is going to be coming into this with Ange Postecoglou coming in? Do you think it's a possibility that he can get Kane on side?
Look, it's all. I think it's all down to Harry Kane. Of course, we all know he's a player that has flirted at times with leaving Spurs. However, you look at the character of the man, and you'd hope that he would be invested in this new project. We've seen Ange has the ability to win over a lot of people. Just speak to any Celtic supporter, really. Like you guys said just before, he was a joke basically when he got signed as a Celtic boss. He was able to turn a whole fan base around. I'm sure he has the ability to do that with players as well, but it goes down to that potentially one asterisk on his record, as on his CV, I should say, that we don't know how he's able to deal with the big egos that come with the big jobs, with the big clubs. So I would, based on what I've seen, based on what I've read, based on what I know, I would think that the combination of Harry Kane's loyalty to Spurs and obviously being able to finally win a trophy with Spurs and take them up back to the top upper echelons of the league, couple that with Ange Postecoglou's ability to be a very personable person, if that makes sense, and being able to really win over a lot of people, I think he will be able to win Harry Kane over. And I think not only from a man management perspective, but also from a tactical perspective, Harry Kane under Ange Postecoglou could be a very, very dangerous threat for the rest of the league.
Why do you think at 57 he hasn't had a move yet to a major top 5 European league? Do you think there's just a stigma maybe around Australian coaches? Do you think could you think of a reason why he wouldn't have made the move yet?
Well, I think it's pretty much there is a stigma in my opinion, and I also think it's not only a stigma from coaches that aren't in Europe or aren't in South America to big footballing federations, but I also think the stigma within Australia about Australian football has held him back a lot. I mean, we could be here for hours talking about the relationship that the sport of football has with the people in Australia, but Ange Postecoglou should not have succeeded in the way that he has done, based on he's the epitome of what shouldn't succeed in Australian football, and he's able to overcome adversity time and time again. And I just think he's taken the long road. He's got the credits in the bank, and maybe if he did start his career in Europe, he started managing in the lower tiers of Europe's leagues, then maybe he could have got a job sooner. But I think I agree in terms of he's 57, he hasn't got the job yet. He hasn't had a job in Europe yet, or in Europe's top 5 leagues, I should say. But I also think you can look at that as a negative, but I also think you can look at that as a positive and say he's worked really, really hard to get to this point. He's not going to throw it away. He's not going to be profligate. He's not going to be taking this job for granted, put it that way. He lives and breathes football. So if he was English, if he was Spanish, if he was Brazilian, Argentinian, I'm sure that he would have got this job or a job like this a lot sooner. I just think it comes with the territory of being a manager not in a top footballing confederation.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you this to finish it off. I mean, obviously, we know that Spurs fans are going to have to be patient with Ange Postecoglou coming in. But if I had to ask you, if you had to make a prediction of how Spurs' season will look next season and what realistic are our targets, what would you say they would be?
It's tricky to say, obviously, before the transfer window has really got underway. But I can definitely see a world in which Ange Postecoglou leads you guys to a League Cup or an FA Cup. I think he's that type of manager that will look at the priorities of Spurs, and obviously that trophy drought is kind of hanging over Tottenham. And I think that is obviously something that if you can tick that off nice and early, win the fan base over like fully straight away, I think that's obviously a priority. But if Tottenham make top 4 next season, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Definitely.
Wow, really? Top 4?
Yeah.
From 8th?
Yeah. Yep. I think Tottenham underperformed this season as it is. And assuming Harry Kane stays, assuming players like Son find their form again, and plus the signings that will eventually be made, you'd think, I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs make top 4 next season.
So if we don't make top 4 or win an FA Cup or League Cup, we're coming for you.
That's fine. That's fine. You can have the receipts.
Do you rate him higher than Pochettino?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, but I would rather Ange Postecoglou be Chelsea boss right now. Put it that way.
Wow. That's mental. That is absolutely mad.
Some Aussie bias
I would prefer Pochettino to be the Spurs boss, so we can make a swap if you want.
I'm down. I can do that.
But Ari, thank you so much for coming on. Really good insight into Ange Postecoglou today. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, what content you do on your channel?
Yeah, so the two-footer tackle podcast is basically a weekly football podcast where I just sit down here at this desk in front of this camera and just talk about the week's happenings. New episode dropping in about 18 hours time, so 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not quite sure what that is in England, but just I talk about football for an hour each week, and you can check it over. Head on over to it at the Two-Footer Tackle podcast on YouTube and all audio platforms as well.
Oh, I've pinned it to the chat, so go check him out, people.
Really good insight. I really enjoyed that. So thank you so much, Ari, for coming on. And maybe we'll get you on again once Ange Postecoglou is up and running, and we'll all be saying, "Oh wow, you were so right about it all." So I can't wait for that.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
See you later, mate.
See you soon.
Bye bye. And you know what else I was thinking as well about Ange Postecoglou is like, not only is this perfect for Daniel Levy and Enoch for the way they like to run a football club, but they're going to be getting the Australian market now. You know, the greatest manager in the Aussie League, the first Aussie manager in the top 5 league in European football. So the Australian market is going to be on lock now.
We're going to Australia this summer,
They're going to Australia in the summer as well, with Ange Postecoglou probably, and Scott Munn. And the South Korean market is already on lock. And all it takes is for him to buy a few gems from the J-League. The Japanese market is going to be on lock, you know. This just makes sense from a Levy. Even if the football doesn't get any better, like from a commercial standpoint, it's unbelievable for them.
Completely agree. There's a lot of upside there. A lot
for them, not for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of upside
for them
for money making abilities. 100%. It makes complete sense. And I know that in Australia, the Premier League is obviously quite big there. I know the Spurs fan base is growing quite big. We've seen it on our channel. I look at how many viewers are coming from Australia, and it's quite a lot. So. It doesn't surprise me that maybe that goes into their thinking potentially.
100% it goes into their thinking. 100%. I mean, they probably wouldn't even consider him if this wasn't the case.
You reckon? If he wasn't Australian?
Probably. Not that he wasn't Australian. The ability to capture a commercial market.
Yeah, it's always there.
You know what I mean? That's what's the case.
100%.
All right. Well, we've got some more news to talk about as well. Let's go and talk about the Spurs squad overhaul. We've had an update from Matt Law, and he says Tottenham intend to completely reshape the squad for Ange Postecoglou. A major clear-out will take place this summer. Tottenham are believed willing to let go as many as 7 first-team players, led by captain Hugo Lloris and Ivan Perisic, in what could be a big summer of change. On top of the first-team players who could be allowed to leave Spurs will attempt to sell Lo Celso, Reguilon and Harry Winks, who spent last season out on loan. The futures of Davinson Sanchez and Ryan Sessegnon at Tottenham are in doubt, whilst bids, if they are made, could be listened to for Ben Davies and Eric Dyer. Also, Tanguy Ndombele. There's yet to be made a decision on Tanguy Ndombele's future, and sources have indicated that Ange Postecoglou may wish to take a closer look at the midfielder before a decision on his future is made. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's all probably right in terms of upping the quality of the squad, getting players out who have been here for too long, getting players out who don't want to be here as well. And maybe even players who we think probably won't fit how Postecoglou wants to play. I think all that makes sense. As I've said, I think it makes sense to take a closer look for the new manager to take another look at Ndombele. I would also say the same with Lo Celso, to be honest. But at least if Lo Celso, we know we're going to get money for him, then I guess it's worth selling. But from Ndombele's point of view, if we're just thinking about cancelling his contract, you might as well take another look at him, just in case the manager believes there's something more he can do rather than just spending the money to cancel his contract. I think that's probably a better way to deal with that situation. So I think that I'm happy with that, and I think every player there. It's just whether we can get buyers. That's going to be the big question, because it's going to be very hard to sell to a lot of clubs in Europe. Maybe Dyer and Davis can get Premier League moves if they're lucky. But again, I think, like for someone like Davis, we're going to be demanding like 10, 15 million. I don't know if we'll get it. For someone like Dyer, we're probably going to be demanding 10 million or something like that. Maybe we'll get it from a bottom half Premier League team. But I'm happy we're considering offers for them. I think they should be definitely up for sale. And I think when it comes to Sanchez, who are the other ones? Sanchez, Sessegnon.
Sanchez and Sessegnon. That's what he says. Lloris Perisic.
Lloris Perisic, we're not going to get anything for. Nothing substantial. Sanchez.
We ain't going to get nothing for him either.
We're not going to get anything for him. Honestly, I think he's one of those players, even if you just get rid of him on a free, get rid of him.
Ryan Sessegnon's a strange one, because he's kind of a 30 million, but we just can't get him on a pitch. I mean, who's going to spend money on him?
That's the thing. You can't get him on the pitch, and when he is on the pitch, he's inconsistent. And that's not a very good... those are two things that like aren't good together, essentially. So... Like, are we even going to get 10 million for him at this rate?
I can see like teams like Nottingham Forest, maybe Luton, taking a punt on him.
Potentially, I even think he might have to drop to the Championship at this rate.
Could be
at this rate, because I don't see him being a starter, right? And also, you got to remember, he's also a very specialist player. He can't play at left back really. He can't play at left wing. So you can only sell him to teams who play three at the back, essentially. So it cuts out a whole load of other teams who might have looked at him. So it's going to be hard to shift him for anything close to what we got for what.
Does Sheffield United still play three at the back?
Sheffield United, yeah, I think so, don't they?
Ship him off to Sheffield United. That's
Sheffield
what
United,
I say.
Maybe they'll take him. Maybe we'll be a bit lucky. Maybe we'll go back to Fulham. I mean, they don't play three at the back. Maybe Marco Silva might feel like he can do something with him. Maybe
any of the promoted clubs would take a punt on any of these players.
Maybe it's a thing like include him in a kind of swap deal, maybe. But swap deals are so rare these days. It's hard to. In Winks' case, I can't see us getting much money for him as well. Maximum 5 million. I don't see much more than that.
We just sent him out on loan. He got relegated from Serie A. I mean, he's had like the opposite of effect to what it usually is leaving Spurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually they win things, but no, Harry Winks got relegated.
Who else on that? Is it Lo Celso?
Lo Celso,
Reguilon. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Reguilon. Whether we keep him. I think this season has probably not gone. It's probably couldn't have gone much worse for him in terms of injuries. In terms of if we want to buy for him, it couldn't have gone much worse from that point of view. So, but with the way Postecoglou uses his wing backs, I don't know if Reguilon if that suits him either.
I don't know if any of our wing backs or our full backs will suit Postecoglou's inverted. Maybe Emerson, but apart from that, who does suit that?
I don't know. Yeah, it's but he can play. It depends. He doesn't play both of them inverted at the same time. Like it's just when it's one side to side kind of thing. So,
like what Mourinho did.
Yeah, I guess exactly when the other guy tucking in. So maybe it's. I think Porro could learn to do it if he's a bit more careful with his passing. I think he has the ability to do it. When it comes to someone like Reguilon, I don't rate his passing ability. Even in general play. So I don't know whether he fits it. But then again, it's going to be hard to get a buy for him.
It's another one of those sad stories, Reguilon, because when we signed him, he was like one of the most sought-after left-backs in European football. Like Man United were after him. Spurs were after him. There were like
United
suitors.
to him, didn't we?
Yeah, there were suitors all over Europe for him, big clubs as well. But, I mean, his career since joining Spurs has just taken an absolute nosedive. And his injury problems, I mean, I think every one of those players on that list probably needs to go. And I put Ndombele in there as well. Everyone knows my feelings on Ndombele by now, but I just don't know. I just don't have it in me to give him another chance. To be fair,
Ndombele. As I said with Ndombele, I think he's got so much ability. If we're going to cancel his contract, it's worth having another look, in my opinion. It does make sense to cancel it without the manager.
Udogie coming in as well.
Udogie, I think he could do the inverted wing back actually. I think he could do that well. But look, that's 9 players on that list. It's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of players going in and out, and that's not even including, people saying Højbjerg might be at risk as well. Dyer was on that list. So I guess that's
in terms of if we get rid of every single player on that list, you need to bring in a replacement for Hugo, replacement for Perisic, replacement for Sanchez, Sessegnon, Davis, and Dyer. That's 6 players. The rest of them are loan players that didn't have places in the squad anyway.
So that's at least 6. At least 6 signings. If we get then, you're not even getting.
Which we do usually make every summer.
Not even getting into Harry Kane or anything like that. That's a lot of movement. I mean, that's the big thing. That's the in a weird way, that's the biggest thing we've struggled with over the last 4 years. Not necessarily bringing players in; it's getting players out. We've struggled in a lot.
And Arsenal were in the exact same position, and they ended up having to cancel loads of contracts because they couldn't shift them on.
Ozil, Mustafi.
I've got a feeling that we're going to be in the same boat. Like, how many more years can we just try and shift these? This has got to be the last point of call, surely.
The thing with Davis and Dyer, we've never tried to shift them. I think now it's the first year. With Sanchez, I think we have, and I think that's failed. And then Winks we definitely have. Lo Celso we clearly have. And Ndombele we clearly have. And yeah, we just haven't been able to.
Yeah, so yeah, very, very. I mean, it is an exciting summer. New manager, a lot of movement to be done, a lot of content for us to make for you guys over the summer.
But what I hear from this is like, what I gather from what Matt Law's, if I'm reading between the lines, it kind of tells me that Sessegnon and Sanchez, it sounds like we want to get rid of by any means necessary, but Dyer and Davis only if we get a good offer.
Yeah, that's what I read from it as well, to be fair.
So we could be seeing Dyer and Davis still in the squad next season.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, we'll have to see how it pans out, but Paul O'Keefe has been talking about potential options that we're looking at, and apparently what he says is that Harry Maguire is an option to consider for this summer. I mean, why?
Good question.
Especially if we're going to move to a back 4.
Yeah, if we're going to move to a back 4, it doesn't make too much sense, in my opinion, to get Maguire. Although, look, he was good in a back 4 at Leicester when he was there. For England, he's been much better in a back 3, although he has played in a back 4 and not looked as bad as he has been at Man United. But at Man United, he has looked terrible. Over the past 2 years, he's just been absolute shambles. Let's be honest. I can't remember a good run of form he's had, in a Man United shirt. I actually think, though, under Solskjaer, 2 years ago, when that season under lockdown, he was actually pretty good when they finished second. He was actually good that season. I actually think he is a bit underrated in terms of he's been so bad. I don't think that truly represents his actual quality, how bad he's been over the past couple of years. I think he's better than what he's showing. I don't know whether it's because he's had a confidence issue. I don't know whether the system doesn't suit him or whatever it is. I don't think he's as bad as he is now. But if we're spending big money on a centre-back, I don't want to spend it on a centre-back who's just woefully out of form. We just did that on Longley. It didn't quite work out. I don't want to spend more money on another centre-back just to hope for him to regain form. You know what I mean? And also, logically, you're spending money on a centre-back who shouldn't really fit the system as well, in theory. Maybe he can, I don't know, manoeuvre it in a way where you're not exposing Maguire as much, but we shouldn't have to be starting from that start point, you know what I mean? You should be wanting players who fit the system perfectly rather than buying a player so you can kind of squeeze him into the system.
All it is, if we sign Harry Maguire, or if we come close to signing Harry Maguire, that just tells me all it is Daniel Levy and Enoch up to their old tricks again. You know, just signing players because they think it's a a good value. That's all it is. From
Levy's point of view, you could probably say, I can get a cheap deal for Man United's captain, an England international, who's not too old, who's 27 or something.
Man United captain, that's a joke of the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably how he sees it. He sees it as a good deal optically in that sense. But when you look at it from a footballing terms, it's not a good deal. And it's not one we should be pursuing. But if you're looking at homegrown kind of players, maybe that's the way they're looking at it. And if let's say Maddison's off the table,
you go get David Raya.
David Raya, does he count as homegrown?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many players do we need for homegrown?
Well, I don't know exactly how many we need, but I imagine it is 1 or 2. I don't imagine it being 3, 4, 5.
If Kane leaves, it could be another one.
Yeah, that's true. But look, surely, if you want to get homegrown players in, you look at younger, more up and coming players.
Spend the money and get
Guehi, Harvey Barnes, David Raya. You know, there are so many players out there that you can fill the homegrown quota out. You don't go and get Harry Maguire just because it ticks a few boxes.
Can you convince Colwell to come out of Chelsea? You know what I mean?
No chance.
You know, why not?
No chance.
I reckon they would sell.
They just rejected a bid from Brighton.
30 million.
They won't sell him. They won't sell him. He's going to be one of the stars of the Premier League. And
They just signed Fofana and Badshile, and they have Koulibaly.
Yeah, but now Poch is the manager. It's a completely different kettle of fish. Poch, you know how much Poch loves these young English players coming through. He's going to make Levi Colwill out-and-out England international.
If he's smart, he'll do that. But whether,
He will do that.
But whether depends how much, because Bowley, look, they need to sell players. They have to this summer.
They will. They've got plenty of players that they're going to sell. And
they might, but if they can't sell some of them, they might have to sell Colwill. They might be forced to. Is my point.
I don't know. I think they would rather let him go on loan for another year or two than rather sell him. Like, this guy is going to be a gem. I'm telling you.
I know. That's why I want him.
And Pochettino will 100% know that. 100%.
Well, anyway, someone of that ilk, that's what we should be going for, not Maguire.
Exactly. But I think Levi Colwill is completely out of our range, to be honest, especially as he's at Chelsea. But let's talk about Harry Kane. Matt Law saying that Real Madrid have made Harry Kane their number one target. Tottenham would demand at least 100 million for their talisman. I know you spoke about this last night on the stream, but I saw a report the other day that Spurs could demand up to 200 million for Harry Kane. But
that'll probably be the starting offer from Levy.
I'm telling you now, if Real Madrid come in for an offer of between 100 and 150 million for Harry Kane this summer, we have to take it.
This is what I said yesterday. I think I was looking at this story yesterday, and I was looking at it from all angles. Right? Will Kane want the move? In my opinion, I think yes. I think he would move if the opportunity came around this summer. Will Levy be willing to deal with Real Madrid and do a deal for the right price? Yes, I do think he would. Would Madrid be willing to go up to pay the price we asked for if it's about 100 million? Considering Benzema's gone and they've got a lot of money to spend and they need a bit of a refresh up front. So would they be willing to go to 100 million for Kane? I reckon they would. So I honestly, and will the fan base, will they kind of, not willingly, but will they accept a move to Madrid more than like a Man United next summer or something like that? I think so as well. So I just think this deal makes sense out of every angle. And I honestly think if Levy and Madrid can agree a deal that suits both parties, which I think there might be some leeway with Levy when it comes to allowing him to go abroad, especially if Kane is going to force the move and he's going to say, look, I really want to move now. I want this move to happen as soon as possible. I don't want to stay here another year. I'd rather just go to Madrid now and start that next phase of my career. Even with this Premier League record in sight and in mind, I don't think he'll look at it as if he's sacrificing the Premier League record for a move to Spain. I think he'll look at it as if as he can go to Spain and he could still come back at 33 or 34, top of his game, and break the record then, in my opinion. So I don't think it's one or the other. And I think
It could be, though.
It could be, but I think, look, he is risking it, but I don't think he's forfeiting it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like guaranteed he's not going to win it. I think it's still likely he'll win it. He'll win it if he comes back at 33, in my opinion. I still think he's got many top years left. Even he can play till he's like 36, 37. We saw Ronaldo at 37 score 18 Premier League goals. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. He can come back at 33 and still get 20 goals a season for a couple of years.
I just always thought that he would want to break it and then maybe move abroad. I didn't think, when he had his plan set out in his head, that he would think he would have gone abroad to Real Madrid before he did break that.
Yeah, I think ideally he would want to, but at the end of the day, he's already missed the boat with one big move to City. I don't think he's going to want to miss another one, to be honest. I really don't. I think you never look. I know he can move on a free next summer. But you just you never know what move is going to be ahead of you, what door's going to close if you don't take it right now.
Yeah, surely,
and he's already seen with City that door's closed now with City.
Yeah, I get that because of the money, but surely, he would think, he would back himself that on a free transfer there'll be plenty of massive clubs coming in for him for a free transfer. No one passes up on the option to buy one of the best players in the world for free.
Of course not, but I don't think he would want to as well. On the flip side, I don't think, first of all, you just never know. If Madrid sign a superstar, I don't know who they would sign, but if they sign a striker this summer, are they going to want to spend another 400 grand a week on Harry Kane? Maybe not. I don't know. But who knows? This is the unknown. If he knows he wants them this summer, That's guaranteed. Next summer, he might be on a free, but no one knows what the future holds. And as well, I don't think he's going to want to... I think he would rather get a fee for his club. I don't think he'd want, in a way, screw over Tottenham and leave on a free and leave for nothing. I think if Tottenham can get a substantial fee like 100 million, I think he would see that as more of a win for Tottenham than leaving on a free as well. And I do still think he cares about Spurs in that way. So I think he would rather get a fee for Tottenham, go to Madrid now, rather than stay a year for not much upside and go on a free where he might still have the pick of the clubs, but there's no guarantee anyway. So I think this move makes sense if Madrid come in for it. I think it does.
There's also the family and the human element to it. Does he want to uproot his whole family? Just about to have another kid, his family settled in London, settled in schools and all that kind of stuff. Does he want to uproot his family? Does his family want to be uprooted to Madrid at this stage? Who knows?
I don't know.
Like
that I can't tell. I'm just talking about what I do know, and that's the footballing side of it. And I think it just all makes sense for this deal to happen. I don't see any real reason, apart from maybe he's that determined to get the Premier League record that he would stay. I don't see too many reasons why this deal wouldn't happen if Madrid actually pay the price we want.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this one, I would prefer this to happen than for him to run it down and go to somewhere in the Premier League, or for us to sell to someone in the Premier League. And I think you're right. It does make sense. But then there is the human element to it as well, which we don't know about if his family don't want to get uprooted to Madrid. And if they don't want to get uprooted to Madrid, then I still think he knows and everyone knows that in a year's time on a free transfer, he'll have his pick of many, many top clubs. Many top clubs. And Man City might be there. Real Madrid might be back in there. I think
if he doesn't want to get uprooted to Madrid, then he's not going to move in a year.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in a year's time, it would still be there if he wanted to move on a free transfer, probably.
Yeah, but he might as well move now.
He might as well, yeah. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that waiting one more year, he'll have so many more different options. And then he can pick literally anything he wants to do. Literally.
Yeah, he might choose. I think in a way that would probably be the smart thing personally. He will probably get a higher wage, he'll probably get the signing on fee, all that kind of stuff. But I just think if it can happen this summer, I think he would want it. I think he would rather go now and not waste another year. He's 30 at the end of the day. I don't think he would want to waste even one more year of his career.
But one more year is not wasted because he's just getting ever closer to that Alan Shearer record.
It's not wasted from that point, but it is wasted from the point of it's just another year probably not winning trophies. And that is, if that's the main focus of his career right now, if that's what he really wants, then it is a year wasted because he's not getting any younger at the end of the day. Yes, I fully believe he's got many years ahead of him. I believe he can go to his 36, 37 and playing at a very high level. I believe that. But at the end of the day, you just don't know. An injury can happen. Maybe he gets an ACL. You just don't know what the future lies ahead, and why waste time hoping for something when you know if you go to a bigger club, there are more just bigger chances straight away, and you can't hang around. Even I think at his age, another year is a big deal in my opinion. At his age.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see how it pans out. Obviously, news will be coming to us all throughout the summer, which we'll keep you updated with. Anything else? No, nothing else. But we do have the call lines open if you want to come on and have your say on Ange Postecoglou.
Well, there's nothing else, but Matt Law has just tweeted. Where is that tweet? I just had it. He just tweeted here. He said, updated story from his story before. Ange Postecoglou has agreed to become the new Tottenham Hotspur head coach ahead of the official ratification and announcement. I think this is a very smart appointment. So he's kind of saying the announcement's imminent as well, Matt Law. So it seems as though we could get an announcement very, very soon. Some people in the comments have been saying 6 p.m. I don't know what that's based on. I saw at the beginning of the stream a load of people saying 6 p.m. it's going to happen, 6 p.m. I think maybe they're just putting random times. I don't know, maybe. I don't know if there has some.
How many times have we sat in these chairs and like random times have just been sent to us? And we're like, yes, it's 3 o'clock. No, it's going to be 6 o'clock.
And then, sometimes it will just happen. It's like, okay, all right. Oh, Ali Gold has just tweeted. And let's see what he said. Continuing my oh no, it's just an article on Postecoglu. Nothing about
I want to make a shout out to Phil Brewster, a chap I met at services the other week. So he's asked for a shout out. So there it is. Big up, Phil. Do we have any callers? No callers. If you do want to have your say, then come on. Otherwise, we will be ending the stream fairly soon. Anything else?
anything else? In terms of Postecoglou, who do we reckon like who's gonna like benefit like in terms of improving as a player, like most, like in terms of playing in a kind of system that is going to be more front-footed?
I think Bissouma will in the centre of midfield. I think he's going to come on. I think he'll definitely get to grips with the likes of Ange Postecoglou. The attacking players, Dejan Kulusevski, Heung-min Son. I think
Richarlison?
I don't know about Richarlison, to be honest.
Jory said he's trying to connect.
Richarlison, I need to see a lot of improvements in Richarlison, and I don't think it was to do with the system why he wasn't doing well over the course of Conte and Mason and Stellini. I just think there's an issue with him and his first touch and stuff like that, and that needs to massively improve if he's gonna work under Ange Postecoglou. Unless he plays the number 9 and he's just there as a poacher, then it can work like that.
But maybe in a high pressing system where he's the kind of guy to lead
that leads the press. Yeah, that's the number 9.
Yeah.
So yes, I could see it working that way. But if he's going to be involved in the build-up play, I don't think he's going to.
And I also think being being how Postecoglou plays, from what I've been reading, like he likes his wingers to be very far wide with the like number 10s kind of tucking inside. So on that basis, I think it forces Richarlison to have to be a striker in that opinion, because I think Richarlison can play out wide-ish if he's kind of an inside forward.
He needs to be cutting in.
Yeah, he needs to be kind of an inside forward. But if he's going to be hugged on the touchline, I don't think that's where he plays. That's one of the most benefits to his game. So I think that kind of forces him to be a number 9 in that essence. I was reading someone's idea. I wonder what you think of this. I was reading on Twitter yesterday. Someone had the idea, if we do sell Kane, to rather than sign another striker, move Son and Richarlison as to our 2 number 9s and invest very heavily in the left winger. Just go spend lots of money instead of investing.
What formation is that?
Investing 4-3-3, but investing heavily into a left winger rather than a striker.
What
having
you mean?
Son and Richarlison as our strikers.
Rotating.
Yeah, there are 2 strikers, and then you invest heavily in a left winger instead.
I mean, I wouldn't be against that at all. I think that's a good idea. I think it's a really good idea, to be fair, because I think Son is better in the central positions now. I much prefer him there than maybe on the left as an out and out winger. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea, to be fair. Really good idea. Now I'm thinking about. I'm just picturing it in my head, to be honest. But no, it's really good. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's what his.
Who said that?
It was Nathan Clark.
Yeah. He's got good ideas, that guy.
He does have good ideas, doesn't he? He's full of them.
No, but who would that left winger be?
He create a whole spreadsheet who we think to left.
Come on, bring on the spreadsheet. Come on.
I think one of them was Matoma, maybe. You know, like someone like that.
Manor Solomon, anyone?
Manor Solomon invest so heavily in a left winger.
Free transfer, baby.
That's what Levy's saying. I'm investing heavily. Come on, the wages I'm paying.
What he's investing is the commercial value of the Australian and the Japanese market. That's what he's investing in.
He's investing heavily in the Israeli market.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, let's go on and bring on our guest.
Someone said Zaha.
Wilfred Zaha, free transfer as well.
Yeah, but wouldn't say. What do you say no to Zaha?
How old is Zaha now?
He is 30 now.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe as a short-term fix, but he doesn't really float my boat anymore, Zaha, to be honest. Let's bring on Brian Daigle. Yes, Brian.
Good afternoon, my brothers and everyone watching. How are we doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. We're getting there. But then obviously I've just been doing my own thing the last few days and seen that finally this search might be over.
Yeah, we're on 71 days today, 72 days tomorrow. Do you think, are we going to break the record or just equal the record, Brian? What do you reckon?
It's going to get done. But like Simon was just saying before, people are saying 3, people are saying 6. I remember, Sim, we were in the studio when they're meant to be announcing Bissouma, weren't they, last summer? And it was like, do we stay a bit? And then they did it as soon as we got home. I've got a feeling I'm going to go for tomorrow just so we can break the record and have a brand new record. Either way,
I thought you were going to say, if we get Postecoglou, I'm getting a tattoo.
No. I've learned my lesson there. I've got a little bit. I've got too much. There's too much stuff going on here to even put a crazy band like that. But listen, I've got to tell you, mate, I'm not unhappy with the appointment. In all honesty, he will bring attacking football back. Yes, listen, he's very unknown in these territories. He's very unknown in the English Premiership, but so was Poch. So was Arsene Wenger. And these managers can be found to do well. I think this man will take no prisoners, both board level and player wise. And we'll have to wait and see. I'm just happy that the manager search is going to be bloody over.
Yeah, and I know, like, Nuno aside, but usually the underwhelming appointments at Spurs actually do better than the appointments that we get really excited for. Whether you look at the likes of Martin Jol, Pochettino, those were probably the two standout ones, where the ones that were expected to be good, like Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, just fell flat on their faces. So I've said this quite a lot, and I feel like this is a very like Martin Jol style appointment, and he could bring a lot of the similar attributes that he brought.
I totally agree with you, Ben. Totally and utterly agree with you. Martin Jol is someone that's very, very, very near and dear to me. The reason I'm leaving out is because of Martin Jol's sacking. I loved Martin Jol. I loved his charisma. I loved his personality. I loved the way he tried to do things at Tottenham. And maybe Ange can do it. Maybe he can do it. Listen, we've tried with the win now managers. We've tried every kind of formula possible, and we know what happens. So I will be 100% behind Postecoglou. And let's hope that he gets the time and the resources to do his job. And that's a different kettle of fish. But listen, the appointment, it's done. Yes, we're going to take a lot of slack from fans going, oh, look who you've got and got, look who you've got. Listen, you deal with your clubs, we'll deal with what we got to deal with. And let's see what he can do.
Well, so do you reckon this appointment at least represents a step in the right direction from the hierarchy when it comes to what Levy promised 2 years ago, getting back to that Spurs DNA? It's taken a while for him to actually come good on that. But do you reckon this is a step in the right direction from that point?
Whoa, Stevie. We've got a long way to go before I start saying, yes, this is a step in the right direction from that, man. It's something. It's something we've been looking for and wanted. Let's face it, all these managers, I mean, there's rumours that we turned Enrique down, or there's so many media rumours. But we do know loads of managers weren't interested in the job. And we've got the man that, would you say he was our number one choice, or he was on that list to begin with? I don't know. Bringing him in is one thing, Simeon. The next thing is allowing him to do what he needs to do on the pitch.
Yeah.
Getting rid of who he wants to get rid of, bringing in who he wants to bring, being able if he gets off to a slow start, don't do a Nuno and sack him. This time, you've got this man in. Let the football manager manage the football club. That'll be a start, Sim.
And we've been reading as well. The Spurs are set for like a long overhaul this summer, and up to 9 players could be facing the chopping block. Do you see all that work getting done this summer, all those players leaving, or do you think we might have to part with a couple of them for next season?
Yeah, I mean, so you look at this. I can't see. We need such a dramatic overhaul. I can't see it all being done in one window. And if we get all the players out that we need to get out, and like you said, we're talking a lot of players. You've got to bring those players back in. You've got to bring replacements back in for them. They may be the deadwood in the squad, but they're in the squad. And if they go out, the team needs strengthening, and it needs serious work on it. If we can get rid of 4 or 5 and bring in 3 quality players in their position, I don't mean quality elite, but people that the manager has identified that could do well in that job, then that's a start. Then that's something. I just can't see. Like you've just been speaking about Kane. If Kane goes, it's huge. Lloris, we know, has said he now wants to go, and it was obviously we all knew this. You're going to have to bring in an incredible goalkeeper to fill in his shoes. Then there's big work to be done. I don't even know where you. For me, you've got to start with the goalkeeper and the centre backs. Got to.
Do you, in terms of Kane, do you think there's legs to this story about him going to Madrid? Do you think that's an actual possibility?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I've said it on your shows. I've spoken to you privately, both as well. I've been saying it for a while that I think he's gone this summer. And this was before Benzema. This is before manager search. This is before you look at this right now. If it's Real Madrid at this stage in his career, I can't see how he turns it down. I really can't. And you know what? Like I said, if he had gone anywhere apart from Chelsea, I would have clapped him off. Or even if I would have clapped him off and said, "Do you know what? Well done. You don't deserve this. Go and do what you need to do. You've been an incredible servant." And if Real Madrid comes calling, I can't see how you've got a £100 million asset, if that's the price we're led to believe, that Daniel Levy is just allowed to walk for free next season. I just don't see it. And I agree with you, Simeon, how you said if getting a big fee for him, Harry Kane would see that as it doing something for the club as well. I get that angle completely. And I think he is going. And I think it will be Real Madrid.
All right, Brian. Well, I'm glad that you're happy and behind the signing. Do you think a majority of the Spurs fan base will be backing this signing and backing him from the beginning?
See, this is the thing we've got with the Spurs supporters at the moment. We just don't know what we're going to get, or we don't know how they're going to react right now. If you look at it, he's won since we last won a trophy. He's won 7 cups in 3 different countries since we last won a trophy.
Yeah.
And fans are saying he's not. He's beneath us. It's like, have a word with yourself. Have a word with yourself. Yes, we are Tottenham Hotspur, but right now we are not the big, ginormous super club people think we are. We're really not. We may be a big club in name. We may be a big club when it comes to the stadium, the training ground, the infrastructure, and everything. But on the main aspect of this, the football inside, we are not a big club at the moment. So we need to get in what we need to get in. And if Ange Postecoglou, and I've been watching quite a few documentaries on him, and the way he every single team he goes with, the players love him. Absolutely worship him and say, this guy is just a winner. This guy, sir, we will see what we do. Spurs fans, it's up to they want the big name manager, like we all want the big name players. We can't attract them. We can't get them. They won't work under the constraints of what they've got with Levy. So we've got Ange in. Hopefully Ange will do well. And if he doesn't, hopefully he'll be another one that will call out the bullshit that Levy does. But then we're going to have to wait and see. But like I said, at least the manager search is over. And we can start looking at what we can do to strengthen this football club.
Don't speak too soon, Brian. You know, at any moment it can collapse.
Yeah, but then trust me, if you have another show, I'll come on. I'll be a lot more the Brian of old when we have this interview.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that will come in a few hours' time. We'll get the news. Ange Postecoglou rejects Spurs. No, I'm joking. I think it will happen. I think it will. But
I think it will do, mate.
Brian, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time.
Always a pleasure, boys. See you soon. And as always, Levy out.
Big up, Brian. All right, that is Mr. Daigle. From one Levy out to another. Let's bring on the Joracle. How you doing, Jory?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, since the season's finished, I just feel like such a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm actually smiling every day since the season's finished, and now it looks like we are appointing a manager, Ange Postecoglou. What's your reaction to that?
I concur, Ben. It's been a load of being out of the season for sure. I mean, Postecoglou, I don't know too much about him. I think very few do. You know, we're just catching up with it. But you know what I've seen, it looks okay. There's stuff there that's definitely impressive and just maybe a source for hope. I would say, you know, but for me, I would still preface everything on that this appointment is not the right appointment anyway, you know, because as you guys, I'm sure you guys agree with me. We're going into a project, right? We're going into, yeah.
Yeah, a long-term rebuild.
Yeah, this guy is not going to get 10 minutes from the fan base. He's going to be hands out with the first hurdle. And that's what we can't do. He doesn't have the cachet. I'm not saying that many people, I mean, not many managers would get too much time, but higher tier or more famous managers like a Nagelsmann would maybe get a little bit more time and therefore a little bit more of a chance of making a project succeed. That has nothing to do with his ability. That has to do with the situation that this club is in now. We cannot forget how absolutely impatient the fans are now. And it's kind of ironic, it's us, the Levy outers, the people like yourself, who actually have the patience for a guy like this. It's us that's not the manager out. It's more the casual fans or the rest of the stadium apart from the south stand or how you want to define it, that doesn't have the patience for it. So I really see that as a huge problem. I just know that he won't get half a chance, and people will be calling. I mean, there's already a campaign that's no to what's it? No to what's his name?
Postecoglou.
Postecoglou. Yeah, I gotta get used to that.
Yeah, about that campaign, Jory. What would you say to fans who, in a part of that campaign is we pay the highest prices in Europe when it comes to season tickets, and if we're paying the highest prices, we should be getting the best in class, and we deserve. Essentially, I think the tagline is "We deserve better" when it comes to the no to Postecoglou thing. I personally don't like that kind of mantra, and I don't like that they're kind of not giving a manager a chance before he's managed a game. But what do you think of that kind of?
I think it's so misguided. I agree, you deserve better, whatever that is. I kind of don't agree, but I do agree that you're not getting your money's worth if that's what we're talking about. But that doesn't have to do with the manager. That's Levy. It's nothing to do with Levy. We weren't getting our money worth when Conte was there. That it doesn't get much more, or Mourinho. It doesn't get much more glittery or headlining name than that, and we weren't getting our money's worth either then, so but this is exactly the crowd that I'm talking about, who's not going to give him a second he's not going to be allowed to fail and find his way like any project manager needs to be able to do, and this is why I find it so hypocritical from the Levy in or the Levy positive crowd who are proud of the stadium and all of that bullshit, that these are also the hardest on the managers, in my view, and the hardest on the players. So I think, unfortunately for me, this appointment still is yet another chance for Levy to be football focused, and he actually goes corporate focus, in my view. I think that's the big carrot there. Even though I have good hope for Ange's abilities. I mean, there's like the Scottish League is what it is, but it's still no cakewalk to do what he just did, and. Like you say, everything you hear about the guy is so positive. So, I mean, we have nothing else to go on at this point. It'll have to be proven how he's going to react to the Premier League and so on. But for me, I just know that even I would even. I don't even think a Pochettino, like if he was coming in for the first time now, I don't think he would be given the opportunity to do what he did at the time, because the fan base when he came in were open to it, and even a couple of years ago we had more patience as a fan base, but now There's no patience. It needs to be glamour and results and beautiful football. Everything needs to be fantastic at the game that I'm going to, basically. And if it's not that, then I'm calling out the manager. So that's my main fear for this whole thing. Is and
the
also
board-
I'm sorry, guys. I'm also fearful that plus Levy and Munn now, that to me seems like as a heavy corporate tilt on the whole thing from the get go. So
I mean,
yeah.
that is an issue, Jory, but would you like to see the board, take a leaf out of maybe the Arsenal board? Because, how many calls did we hear from the Arsenal fans saying Arteta out, Arteta out, Arteta out? Now you won't hear one Arsenal fan say a bad word at all about Mikel Arteta.
No.
So
Okay,
surely
but-
the board need to not listen to every jibe that the fans make about a manager.
No, true. But then I would say also to you, Ben, I would say, okay, where's Levy Jr. then? Let's get Levy Jr. in here, and let's get the ex-player, the sporting director. Like we've already heard that they're going to save themselves the money on a sporting director, probably, or are thinking about it at least. So that's not going to make the recruiting better, in my view. So. And we already know Munn is mainly a administrative guy. He's about running the football stuff, not about recruitment and so on. So I don't like. For me, I feel like everything about this is. I mean, I'm kind of surprised how gutsy. Levy is then to do this at this point, after everything that happened this season. But also, I can also see how clever it can be with Levy, because if he can get the fan base excited now about this appointment and get you going on it, well then, when it doesn't work out, he's going to be such an obvious target for all the fans instead of Levy. He's going to deflect all of the anger is not now going to be directed at Levy. It's not like a Conte where it's so obvious for us that Levy is not doing what Conte needs him to do. It's going to be much more murky, and he doesn't have the cachet, it doesn't have the standing in the minds of the fans to second guess whatever narrative is being put out there as well around the situation. So even so like, I'm not even deciding that it's going to go this way. I'm just saying, guys, from a appointment point of view, this is the wrong appointment, because he won't have the substance to withstand heavy criticism. We needed a manager that would be able to do that, because we know it's coming. So
yeah, because that's what I was saying, Joy. Like, we could have a good season next season and still finish seventh because of the fierce competition. Because of the fierce competition. And is that going to be a situation where the board will feel impatient with us finishing seventh and then like not tolerate it because it could be another season out of Europe, or are they going to have the patience to stick with a project with this guy and believe that he's going to be the guy to take us forward? And that's why I question whether this board will have the patience with.
I don't think so, to be honest. Yeah, I think Levy is way too short-sighted. He needs the revenue in right away. Even though the TV revenue is not that good, then at least the ticket sales, for the minor Europa competitions. But I also think like just in terms of when you go into a project, you actually need your board to try and stand guard against the manager, when things are going badly or difficultly, or was finishing ninth next season or whatever. The thing is, for me, if you're going into a project, finishing ninth or seventh or whatever, that's
Hell. That killed me.
that's irrespective of success. That's not how you can measure success in the first season of a project. All you need to, it needs to be the eye test. It needs to be internal markers that we need to hit. Is the team gelling? Are we finding the right centre backs? Are we find whatever we think is the problems, and is that progressing? Then where you end up in the table, it's not. It shouldn't be important really to anybody, maybe apart from relegation, like in the first season of a project, especially when you're starting from where we are starting, So, but yeah, I think unfortunately, instead of having a glamour manager that's supposed to win now, it's gonna be a project manager that's gonna also supposed to be done with the project ASAP, and that's not how it works, So I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
Joey, this guy is being revered as the best manager the Australian League has ever seen, right?
Yeah.
The first Australian manager to ever manage in the top 5 leagues in Europe. He's got close ties with the Japanese league as well, with spotting talent and stuff like that. Has Levy seen this as a commercial opportunity rather than a footballing opportunity, do you think?
Absolutely. I think like that's the I think that's the main hook for Levy. But I think also Levy understood that the fan base is so angry and impatient that he needed to do something football wise. Now time has passed. I ask you guys, okay, let's say it's the first week of a manager search, and you now hear that Levy has chosen Postecoglou over Nagelsmann and Slot and Enrique and Alonso and whoever,
De Zerbi, yeah.
Yeah, De Zerbi, all of these names that has been in the pot, I don't think many fans would be happy then, So it's kind of like slowly lowering expectations. And I'm not saying that Ange is any lower or any worse. I actually think, yeah, I mean, I can see a lot of problems with Nagelsmann being a confident, maybe slightly arrogant, slight superstar coming into the club, young, almost the same age as Kane and Son, and stuff like that. You can easily see problems develop with that as well, So, but I'm saying our main problem is that we will have a very heated situation pretty quickly, as you do when you're doing a project. And Levy will throw him under the bus right away, and we will take the bait right away, and so on. So that's why I think from that point of view, it's always I don't see a way where he actually gets to do his project, unless he's absolutely miraculous and it shows right away. But I don't. I'm not expecting.
Hey, at least we're going to get the Aussie market. Best supported team in Australia.
Well, once we fire them, they'll hate our guts and they'll be our enemies and whatever.
Well, and Joey, what do you think of Kane to Madrid? Do you think that story actually has any legs?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure they want him. I'm sure they're going to put in an offer. I'm pretty sure Levy will actually entertain it. And Kane has absolutely no sense in his head if he doesn't take that offer, in my view. He absolutely should. And I would say towards, because Ben, I was listening to you guys and you said that he's so focused on the top scoring record.
Premier League record, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with that. But I would also say, and Kane, I hope Kane understands this, that if he gets that record without any titles, any real titles, any big titles, it's almost going to be like to his detriment. It's almost going to be embarrassing. I know it's not true, but this is how it's going to be spun. Look at this guy. He got the highest score, but never won anything. Blah blah blah. So, and to be honest, much more important than that record, Kane, is to win a Champions League, is to win a league title and so on. So you have to do that. That is so much more important for your career and for your standing in the football history than getting that high score tally. And I agree with Sim. Go 2 years, come back into the Premier League, and you'll still get it anyway. So and I think I also think like if you put Kane into that Madrid, if you want to have a shot at being talked about in the same breath as Ronaldo and Messi and these kind of guys, you need to be in a team like that to see what kind of numbers you can put up there. Now, if you go there and do that for 1 or 2 seasons, then everybody can really, with kind of confidence, say like, yeah, Kane is actually of that caliber. He was just in such a shit team for such a long time, But when he got a proper team around him, he was performing like these top names in the game were. So. And
it kind of takes you back, Jory, to the Amazon documentary when Mourinho was talking to Kane, right?
Exactly.
When Kane was saying, I want to be Messi, I want to be Ronaldo. And if he wants to be on that caliber, he can't stay at Tottenham, can he?
No, and he can't say no to a Madrid, for sure. He cannot say no to a Madrid. And from Madrid's point of view, if they want to try now and react to what happened against Man City, that the Kane is the answer to that, absolutely, So I think it's a little bit too good to be passed up for everyone, really. So, and I think we as fans would also be relieved. We get some money in. He gets to go when he wants to go. We don't have to do him bad like he was done with City. I think he gets to go. We get money in, and he's not going to be facing us every weekend, the first season at least, So I think that's going to be good as well, So, or not every weekend, but he's not going to be taking points of us. Let's put it like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
So but yeah. Anyway, I think, unfortunately, I hope I would want to end on this. When he comes in, or if he comes in, and we've seen anything can happen. I'm 100% behind him. Of course, he's my manager, and I'm not gonna go hands out, even though I might be thinking, okay, this guy is clueless or whatever. He needs the time. This is what we're going for. We're going for a long rebuild and a project, and you're not gonna see clear evidence of success, right away. Maybe you might, but you have to be ready for a long haul before you can see that. So yeah, I'm gonna back him 100% once he comes in, if he comes in.
Brilliant, everyone. You heard that. Back Ange. Jory, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend, and we shall speak to you next time.
Take care, guys. Great show as always.
Cheers, mate. Up the Spurs.
Bye.
See ya. Anyone else? All right, we'll just go through the super chats you got there, and then we'll end the show.
We have some super chats. We had Dark Angel 56 with a membership. Big up to him. Quodo Boateng as well. He become a gold member, so big up. Quodo. Sound Boy says, boys, everyone is saying get behind this guy, which I am, but this is is the club a 2-year deal, knowing how much work needs to be done? Does it make sense? Are the club getting behind Ange, only giving me a 2-year deal plus a 3rd-year extension?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, did Celtic not get behind him because they only offered him 12-month rolling contracts? That's less of a contract than you get in here.
It's different, isn't it? I guess, I don't know what their remit was. Was it a short term? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the thing with Celtic is it's always going to be, with Celtic, they know it's always going to be short term there, don't they? They're never, because if their manager does too well, they're always going to be moved on. They're never going to stay there for too long.
Yeah, but if he does too well, then at least they get a big hefty compensation, then, don't they?
Well, they're going to get it, aren't they? Because they decided
Did he sign that extra 12-month deal?
Yeah, that's why we have to pay.
How much are we paying? 5 million or something, I heard.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to agree a deal with Celtic.
But I'm saying if he would have signed a 5-year deal, then we're going to have to be paying a lot more than that.
But I guess for Celtic, I'm trying to think why it doesn't make sense for him to offer a long-term contract. I guess in case they have to sack him. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could definitely argue the same with Celtic, and he didn't have a problem with that.
We just got the here we go, I think.
Did we?
1 second.
Yeah, we did.
All right. Did we? Where?
Yeah, we did. Postecoglou will become new Tottenham head coach. Here we go. The
Here we
on a
go.
2-year deal plus option for a further season has been revealed this morning. Green light on final clauses. Time to seal compensation documents with Celtic. Then official. A lot of people saying we could get the official announcement today.
I don't know. I reckon tomorrow it'll come.
A lot of people saying today, though.
We're going to
Well,
be
it's
lining the
imminent.
streets of Hotspur Way, is that for Ange Postecoglou?
Exactly. So Postecoglou, here we go. Wow, it's happening. It is happening, people. Looks like we have a new manager.
What a great way to end the stream. We get the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Ange Postecoglou will now most definitely be the next Spurs manager, and I'm sure the announcement will come today or tomorrow. But what a great way to end the stream. We finally got the here we go.
Unbelievable. It's time to get excited, people. Big Ange coming to N17. Let's do this.
All right.
Well, we've got some more super chats, I guess.
Oh, go on.
TF Swag says he's magic. Who knew? Ange Postecoglou.
Next.
Shahad Jisani says, thank you for voicing the frustrations and eternal optimism of all of us hardcore fans outside of the UK. I don't know if I'm optimistic about the new manager or lethargic about whether we will be back here after 2 years. Yeah, it could go either one or two ways, can't it? Let's be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we are back here in 2 years' time and Postecoglou has gone wrong. But I'm sure that at least we'll have some fun. Look, it's going to be some fun times, I reckon, over the next 2 years. Or so,
I do genuinely believe, though, as much as there will be fun times, there will be some games where we get absolutely pumped next season.
It's going to happen.
It's inevitable, in my opinion.
Once we're working our way through whatever system we want to play, it's going to happen. Craig Fenner says, Postecoglou protest was put up by Celtic fans.
Yeah, it was. When they first joined, Celtic fans were outraged by this appointment. They really were. And now they're desperate for him to stay.
Interesting.
But that is the Scottish League, so...
okay. Interesting. Oh, you mean when he first joined Celtic? I thought he meant like Celtic were doing no to Postecoglou to try and make him not join Tottenham.
No.
Which would have been funny. That would have been funny.
No.
Aramenko says, got one more conversation in from an Australian fan. Joined the telly stream. Oh, is there someone else in the back end?
Oh, yeah, someone's just...
We got one more conversation for
Always
an Aussie.
time for one more. Except for me, I need to pop off for 1 second.
Anything for an Aussie. All right, his name Ralph.
Yeah, no.
Ralph. All right, let's get him on.
You hear me?
We can hear you, Ralph. Thanks for joining the stream,
Yeah,
bro.
hey. It's coming from 1:46 a.m. in the morning. Just I loaded up the YouTube page and I saw you guys and I had to join.
Big up to you, man. You're just staying up all night waiting for the official announcement, are you?
Yeah, waited for the here we go.
The guy, he can't sleep until Postecoglou's been appointed. Well, maybe he'll be able to get some sleep soon. Look, as an Australian Spurs fan, tell me how excited you are about the potential appointment. Oh, well, it looks like the imminent appointment of Postecoglou.
Well, ever since kind of like the Brisbane Raw team that was kind of lauded as like the Raw Salona team, we've been kind of like applauding up Ange Postecoglou just because of his rise to the Australian national team. He got playing Australia. Typically, Australia kind of plays like direct football, and he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him playing very nice football that won the Asian Cup. And he got him it was a very weird exit from the national team where he left before the 2018 National World Cup. And it was a bit weird going to Japan, but he's managed to succeed and play that attacking possession football everywhere. And I think there's one like kind of fact that like people are discounting him from going from like lower leagues, like not a top 5 league, when you kind of have to applaud him for that. The A League itself, it's kind of not a too good of a league, but it's a salary capped league. So he went on a 38 game unbeaten streak in a salary capped league. That goes to show more or less of the players. You can only bring in like one marquee like player, kind of like the MLS. And to go on a 38 game winning streak, I guess it comes to the tactics and the man management. Alongside, if you go to Japan and you take over a middling team that was mid-table and then win the title with them, it's less about the players and like how much money the club has, and more about the tactics that he brings in.
So do you believe, like on a tactical level, he's up there with the best in the Premier League?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think the fan base has grown tired of the 5 at the back defensive football that we've kind of had under Jose, Nuno, Conte. And I think to kind of dismiss him and say that he's a bad manager because of just his, not because of his like accomplishments like Scotland and like Australia and Japan. I want to be seeing that attacking football. I'm tired of just kind of like, I'll be watching the games like online and stuff, and I'm like half the time I'm like looking at my phone because we're just playing tired, like boring football. And I think along with this situation with Harry Kane, I'm not too sure where we're at if we get like if this didn't happen. If this didn't happen, and if we got like Enrique or someone else, where would we be? We would be like 9th or 10th or like 8th. Without Harry Kane, I don't think we're a top 4 side. And I think bringing in a project manager like Ange, who will bring in an attacking philosophy and is very good with the young players and will bring in hidden gems. I desperately want much more of like a road or like a pathway from our academy to that first team. We were talking about how like I think back in like 2014, 2015, we had one of the like youngest sides in the Premier League in that year. And now we barely see any of the academy players like go into the first team. Like I think really only what we see is Tanganga and Skip. And I want more of kind of a bridge from the academy to the first team. And I think Ange can fit those players from the academy and fit them into the philosophy. And hopefully we get to see more of those players.
Is he good? Is he good with young players? Then does he like playing a lot of the youth? Does he like bringing a lot of the younger players through?
I think because he started at South Melbourne and then he went into the youth Australian sides. So he does like I think he spent 2 or 3 years there. So he's gotten some experience with like judging characters and like kind of meshing well with like young players and coaching them right. So I think giving him like a focus on kind of bringing up the youth and kind of like focusing on those high potential players that we have at the club that have kind of been unused or have been on loan. So players like Gil, Udogi, who's just coming back from loan. I know Reguilon is not too young, but I'm hopeful to see him go into the first team because we do need more of like a fullback rather than a wingback. Oh yeah, Sa. I'm actually kind of, it's not a young player, but I'm kind of interested to see if Ndombele can kind of fit back into that team with the more of the possession and more of like the technical center mid that he kind of uses in his formations and in his tactics.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that as well. Who we can maybe revitalize as well, because that's been a big element to maybe how Spurs have been the last year or so. Maybe a lot of players underperforming. Has he been known to like get the very best out of like the current crop of players and bring them to like a new level, or get something more out of them?
I think looking back, I've done like a little bit of research. His Brisbane Raw sides that he's like came in into, they were very middling sides. Even like the Yokohamas, they finished I think just outside the playoff spots, around 6. They kind of had like a bad season with him, like the first season, and then they won the title after. But he's a very like aggressive, like if there's a player that doesn't cut it or doesn't fit into his tactical philosophy, or like he doesn't see the right mentality from the player, he will cut, he will like sell them. So a lot of the veteran players, I think from his Brisbane Roar teams and Melbourne Victory teams, he like I think he sold very veteran players that who were playing there for a long time and were like very key players the season before. So he's not afraid to kind of transfer or sell some of the players that might be seen as key mainstays or might be overlonging their stay. I'm looking at you, Eric Dyer, but diabolical. But I'm optimistic to see whether he can kind of bring a new level out of the players that we've, I would say, sometimes wasted our money on, or we haven't seen the full potential out of.
Is there any concern at all with the fact that him being 57 and this being his first ever job in a top European league, and you know, football has moved on, like Premier League football has moved on so much even in a short space of time, and the fact that he all right, sorry about that. All right, Ralph, we are back with you live on the channel. What I was about to ask is about like the people, as you have been saying, like we shouldn't really look at his experience, but the fact that he is 57 and hasn't managed in a top European league before, like, and the fact that the Premier League seems to be moving tactically very quickly, even in the past decade, is there any reservations at all that he could be maybe behind in that sense, in terms of how fast moving the Premier League is, and he hasn't managed in this league before?
Is he going to be Is he going to be playing? Is he going to put some boots on, some cleats?
No, he's going to be managing.
I don't think. I don't think age is a factor when it comes to management. I think his tactics are very forward in terms like his time, in terms of like his time at Japan and like Celtic, of that possession football. As I said before, when he was managing in the A League, the Barcelona term, it was Barcelona light in terms of the passing display, the possession. It wasn't seen before in Australia. So I don't think you can say he's behind in terms of tactics. I mean, even people compare him to like Pep Light in terms of using the overlapping fullbacks, the inverted fullback, the possession based sides. And I think when I was researching it before, when Pep and Manchester City went on a preseason tour in Japan and versed Ange's Japanese team, he was saying just how like that was the toughest match on this preseason schedule. I think Raheem Sterling, when he was playing at Manchester City, he said a quote about the game that was the best passing from the back team that they've played in the preseason. And I'm guessing in that preseason they were versing against other European giants. And to kind of facilitate that system and that set of tactics with kind of players that are not up to quality with other like European clubs, you kind of have to compare it and see when he uses that tactics with the players that we have at our club, players of like world-class caliber, what magic he can do with it.
In terms of like how this move, like just for Australia in general, do you think like this is a massive like opportunity, like in a way for Australian soccer to be taken a bit more seriously in Europe? Because there must, like, as my brother said before, there hasn't been any Australian manager before in a European top 5 league as a manager. There must be a reason, whether it be stigma or whatever, as to why that happened, what has happened, been the case thus far. Do you think many Australians see this as opportunity, as if this goes well for Postecoglou, maybe European clubs or European football might start to take like Australian soccer a lot more seriously, and maybe start bringing over maybe more people from Australia and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've definitely seen it in the media coverage. Every time Ange would be linked from like a move away from Celtic, when it was, I think it was Leicester maybe, or like Brighton. There was always news articles about it, news stories. I think it just comes to how, I don't know, Australian football has kind of been looked down upon. It's just because of our league, our A League. It's not too good. You kind of, sometimes you often see like compilations on YouTube of like the fails or whatever on it. Yeah, I think you might have seen one of those. But I think there's a kind of rising belief that we can get more Australian footballers and more Australian football managers abroad and see whether they can compete. I think Ange is probably our best football like prospect that we've had. If you include both footballers, players, and managers, aside from Timmy Cahill and Harry Kewell, he is our best managerial product that we've had, and I can't wait to see what he can do in the Premier League. And I think the whole of Australia will be watching and seeing how he does.
Interesting. All right, Ralph, great to chat to you, mate. Cheers for calling in.
That's been great.
Appreciate your insight.
Last time we talked, Gareth Bale was announced back on loan, so that was fun.
You only come for the big moments,
All
Ralph.
the way back. Yeah.
Exactly. I hope it wasn't this late in the morning or early in the morning for you as well back then. But hopefully, look, I'm sure you'll be staying up for a lot more Spurs matches now that Postecoglou is appointed. It's going to be should be a lot of fun then. Should be a lot of fun. All right, Ralph, great to chat to you, mate. Speak to you soon.
No, all good.
Big up, Ralph.
See ya. That was great. That was a good chat.
Any more chats?
Super chat. Jaden says, can't wait for Ange to chin Arteta. Brandon Troller, big up to Brandon. He says, re-sign Carter Vickers. Being by far the best centre-back in Scotland, was never given a fair shot, Spurs. Also, we're going to sign 1 billion Japanese players. 1 billion. So a big squad.
That's definitely going to get the Japanese market, that is. Going to be the most followed team in Japan, Australia, and South Korea. No, I would not.
Best centre-back in Scotland.
Yeah, shame we're not playing in Scotland.
Sign the best manager in Scotland.
Yeah, but there's difference being on the sidelines and being on the pitch. I mean, Carter Vickers has had his chances at Spurs and didn't take them,
Well, to be fair, I
unfortunately.
don't really think he really got a chance.
I mean, but any time he did get a chance, he was
Correct.
awful.
He probably had 5 appearances total, maybe.
Yeah, and did we ever see anything positive in him from any of those 5 appearances? I just remember that game against Wickham,
Yeah,
like
he
how
was terrible
bad he
against
was that
Wickham.
game.
He was terrible against Wickham. That's the only one I really remember.
Yeah, same. We're just judging on that one performance against
Yeah,
Wickham,
poor
but
guy,
no
poor guy.
chance for me. We need a top class centre back to come through at this club, and
Or if Postecoglou says, look, he's my guy, he's coming with me.
then I'll say bring him in.
I'll bring him in. Bring the Spurs.
Look, whatever this manager wants, we need to give it to him. That's just the facts. Like, we can't be putting square pegs in round holes anymore. We need to listen to what the manager wants, and we need to bring in that caliber of player that the manager wants. Enough of this, like, just getting players just because they're good deals. We need to get players in that specifically follow the manager's plans. Otherwise, what are we doing here? There's no point. He'll be out the door in a year. So, yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. It looks as though the manager appointment is imminent. We've got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on Ange Postecoglou. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.